I believe that's the biggest threat we have on our national security is our military's morale, recruitment, and retention. We're the lowest recruitment numbers since Vietnam.
Yeah.
The retentions, we can't retain guys that have deployment experience, combat experience. These guys are getting out, and it's primarily due to the morale because of woke ideologies that's been pushed into our ranks. And I don't know how much you can talk about that as a service member, but I want to know where you stood with seeing, one, the military's capability, and two, the weakness that has infected our military and impacted our recruitment and retention.
Yeah. Well, I think one thing for sure that I can talk on that I know about is, and I've talked to other folks that are, in higher positions in the Marine Corps that don't like to really put themselves out there about this kind of stuff, but I have communications with certain people. And one of the big things that people are very concerned about, as far as from the Marine Corps' perspective, is the amphibious assault capabilities of the Marine Corps, because we work with the Navy to do that. And one of the problems we have right now is all of our amphibious assault ships are in extremely poor states of disrepair. Not all of them, but a good majority. And there's a report. Actually, let me make sure that I cite this correctly, so that, because there's a report that was publicly released about this. The amphibious warfare fleet. Navy needs to complete key efforts to better ensure ships are available for Marines. So one of the big problems that they've been coming into is that there's currently 32 amphibious warfare ships, and this is public information. This is publicly available. There's a House report, 117 TAC 397, that was talking about the extent to which the Navy Marine Corps are addressing challenges with fleet availability, maintenance challenges, and the Navy being positioned to meet its fleet size requirements going in the future. Bottom line is, the big thing that they cover in this open source document is the fact that we are not ready to get Marines shipped to shore if we need to operate in a major conflict in, say, the Pacific or anywhere else where we're going to be conducting, ship to shore operations. We're not ready for that, because in my mind, and this is just my opinion, I think that it maybe took a back burner to other priorities, because at the end of the day, if you make something a priority, then that's going to be your priority, and you're going to focus on it, and you're going to put attention towards it, and you're going to make sure that it's getting taken care of. I think that the priorities, and it always varies upon administration to administration, I think the priorities were not on, readiness as much as they were on other things. And that's one thing I can say that's pretty unbiased and pretty straightforward. I think it's pretty clear, and everyone who's a thinking, breathing human being can look at how the military is, and who the administrations were when they were being, when they were there, and see what kind of the priorities of that administration were, and where they are going, at least seeming to go now. I know that when I was at Pete Hegseth's hearing, one of the things he spoke about was readiness, and bringing things back to being centralized, focused on warfighting.
Lethality.
Which is what the military's purpose is. Now, I think the Marine Corps does a very good job with branding in that sense, because we've done a very good job of staying on brand. Our purpose is warfighting and fighting and winning the nation's battles, because there's going to come another battle's coming, another war is coming eventually, and we have to be ready, because we have to win when that happens. And so the Marine Corps does a good job of maintaining that as its centralized focus. I do feel that the Marine Corps is still ready, and we still have a lot of very good, capable young men and women who are ready to give it everything they've got to protect, support, defend the Constitution of the United States from all enemies, foreign and domestic. And especially a lot of guys that have been out for a little while, they're like, oh man, everybody's gotten soft. The infantry's gotten soft, all this stuff. I am very confident in these young folks' ability to prosecute targets and to fight and defend our Constitution. I've personally seen a lot of folks, especially even just from 1st Battalion, 8th Marines, just as example, the esprit de corps is there. The motivation is there to do good for the nation. And these folks they have that intrinsic motivation to get out there and get after it. So I feel confident that we still have the people that have the interest there.
Yeah.
We just need to divert our attention back to getting our fleet readiness up so that we can make sure that we can get Marines shipped ashore. We need to bring our attention back to warfighting and lethality. And we need to get focused back on taking care of our people, their families, and prepping them so that way when the next war does happen, when it happens, that everybody's ready across the board. They got the support systems. They got everything they need. And that's pretty much,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like the
much
commander in chief is super important. A lot of people don't think of it that way. You think we elect a president of the United States, but the president of the United States wears multiple hats, and one of those other hats is the commander in chief of our military, and that really kind of defines the culture of the military, because the commander in chief is going to set the trajectory and what's the military going to be focused on.
Yeah, he's going to set the tone.
The tone, right? That's right. Yeah. I was just at the commander in chief's ball.
Yeah,
and it was really awesome to see the energy and excitement.
Yeah,
and we even seen that in the November election happen. The recruiting numbers started going up.
That's what I think I saw.
President-elect.
Yeah, I think I saw that. Yeah.
So I mean, this shows the nation has more confidence for America's sons and daughters to raise their hand and be willing to put their life on the line to serve.
Yeah.
Because of who's not just the president but the commander in chief.
Yeah, I think statistically it shows that statistically for sure.
Yeah.
You got to have strong leadership, man. You got to have strong leadership who is, very situationally aware, understands what's going on, very in control, and just conscious of what's happening with their people, and open communication. I think that's one thing I've noticed, is that there's been a lot of very open lines of communication from people within this administration, at least initially from what I've been seeing. People are able to communicate, hey, this is stuff that's happening, and getting the word passed across so that someone else can take action on it. I think that's important, because that's one of the hardest parts about the bureaucracy of the government, is that you're playing telephone, and then by the time the information gets to the guy who's way up here, it turned into something totally different. It's like morphed into some other thing.
Yeah. I'm super proud that Smith & Wesson Firearms is a supporter of this show. I have been shooting Smith & Wesson Firearms since I was a kid. This is one of America's most patriotic companies that has been around 170 years. The Resilient Show is honored to partner with Smith & Wesson. I personally use Smith & Wesson Firearms every day for my everyday carry. I keep Smith & Wesson Firearms in my home for my home defense. When I'm out on the range practicing, it is a Smith & Wesson at the end of my grip. So check them out, and I hope you join me in carrying one of America's most iconic firearms.